Right now, there are coins moving through your hands, coins you probably spent without thinking, that could be worth thousands of dollars, maybe even more. And the truth is, most people will never realize what they had until it's already gone. Because the difference between an ordinary quarter and a rare one comes down to tiny details almost nobody checks. Today, I'm going to show you 10 specific quarters that are still in circulation. Coins collectors are actively searching for right now. And here's the shocking part. One of these coins has sold for over $47,000. So before you spend another quarter, watch this carefully, because the next coin you get in change could change everything. Let's start with coin number 10. The 1776 to 1976 bicentennial quarter. At first glance, it looks like one of the most common coins ever made. The drummer boy on the back, the dual date, millions were produced, and most people assume it's just another quarter. But that assumption is exactly why people miss what makes this coin valuable. Because there isn't just one version of this quarter. There are two. The first is the standard copper nickel version, the one most people have, worth face value. But the second version is where things get interesting. A 40% silver version, struck at the San Francisco Mint. And here's the part most people never check: the edge of the coin. If you see a copper stripe running through the side, it's the common version. But if the edge is completely silver, no stripe, no copper at all, you could be holding a silver quarter. Now look at the front of the coin. If you spot a small S mint mark near Washington's neck, that's your confirmation. That coin was minted in San Francisco, and those are the silver versions collectors are hunting. Even in average condition, these can sell for several dollars. But in uncirculated condition, or with rare mint errors like doubling or off-center strikes, the value can jump into the hundreds. Some rare examples have even crossed into the thousands depending on condition and rarity. And here's the reality: millions of people have handled this coin over the years, and most of them never check the edge. They spent it, without ever realizing what they had. Need this time this coin value. It's no longer just 25 cents. It could be one of the most overlooked valuable quarters still in circulation today. Now coin number 9 is a quarter that most people have seen, but almost nobody has actually examined closely. The 2007 Idaho State quarter. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary. A falcon, the state outline, nothing that immediately stands out. And that's exactly why this coin slips through unnoticed. Because the real value is hidden in a detail so small, most people never even think to check it. A double die error. This happens during the minting process when the coin is struck more than once at slightly different angles, and the result is a faint but very real duplication in the design. Now here's what you need to look for. Turn the coin over and focus on the lettering, specifically the word Idaho and the phrase Esto Perpetua. If you notice a slight shadow behind the letters, almost like the text has a second outline, that's not damage. That's a mint error, and collectors pay serious money for it. Circulated examples of this error have sold anywhere from $50 to over $150. But in higher grades, with strong visible doubling, those values can climb to $300 or more. And here's where it gets even more interesting. There's another version of this coin, one that was never meant to be in your pocket. A satin finish strike. These were specially made for collector sets, with a smoother surface and sharper details, but somehow, some of them escaped into circulation, and unless you know what that finish looks like, you'll miss it completely. It won't shine like a proof coin, it won't look dull like a regular one, it sits right in between, subtle, easy to ignore, but valuable to the right collector. Now here's the part most people don't realize: over 600 million Idaho quarters were produced. That massive number makes people assume they're all common. So they stop paying attention. And that's exactly how rare errors like this stay hidden for years. People don't look, they don't check, they just spend. Need this time this coin value. What looks like a simple quarter could quietly be worth hundreds of dollars, sitting in your pocket right now without you even realizing it. Now coin number 8 is a quarter that most people have seen, but almost nobody understands. The 1999 Connecticut State Quarter. At first glance, it just shows a tree. Simple, forgettable, easy to ignore. And that's exactly why people miss what makes this coin valuable. Because that tree is the famous charter oak. A symbol of one of the most important moments in early American history. But here's where things get interesting for collectors. This was one of the very first coins released in the entire state quarters program, which means it has been in circulation longer than almost any other modern quarter. And that creates a serious problem. Condition. Most of these coins have been heavily used for over 2 decades, worn down, scratched, faded, which means finding one in high-grade condition today is much harder than people think. And that's where the value starts to rise. A normal worn example is still just 25 cents. But a sharp, high-grade coin, with strong details on the tree and clean surfaces, can sell $4.50, $100, even $200 or more. And that's just the beginning. Because some of these coins were struck with mint errors, double die varieties, where the lettering or design shows a slight duplication, weak strikes, where the details appear soft or incomplete, even off-center strikes that immediately stand out. And those are the coins collectors are actively searching for. Now here's what you need to check. Look closely at the front of the coin. Focus on the words, Liberty, and In God We Trust. If the letters look slightly doubled, or have a shadow effect, that's a sign of a mint error. Then flip the coin over. Examine the tree. If the details look unusually sharp and strong, that's a high-grade coin. If something looks off, weak, or doubled, that could be an error. And here's the reality. Millions of these coins have passed through people's hands, and most of them never took a second look. They saw a tree, and they moved on. Need this time this coin value, what looks like an ordinary quarter, could actually be worth far more. And it might already be sitting in your change right now. Now coin number 8 is a quarter that most people have seen, but almost nobody understands. The 1999 Connecticut State Quarter. At first glance, it just shows a tree. Simple, forgettable, easy to ignore. And that's exactly why people miss what makes this coin valuable. Because that tree is the famous charter oak. A symbol of one of the most important moments in early American history. But here's where things get interesting for collectors. This was one of the very first coins released in the entire state quarters program, which means it has been in circulation longer than almost any other modern quarter. And that creates a serious problem. Condition. Most of these coins have been heavily used for over 2 decades, worn down, scratched, faded, which means finding one in high-grade condition today is much harder than people think. And that's where the value starts to rise. A normal worn example is still just 25 cents. But a sharp, high-grade coin, with strong details on the tree and clean surfaces, can sell $4.50, $100, even $200 or more. And that's just the beginning. Because some of these coins were struck with mint errors, double die varieties, where the lettering or design shows a slight duplication, weak strikes, where the details appear soft or incomplete, even off-center strikes that immediately stand out. And those are the coins collectors are actively searching for. Now here's what you need to check. Look closely at the front of the coin. Focus on the words, Liberty, and In God We Trust. If the letters look slightly doubled, or have a shadow effect, that's a sign of a mint error. Then flip the coin over. Examine the tree. If the details look unusually sharp and strong, that's a high-grade coin. If something looks off, weak, or doubled, that could be an error. And here's the reality. Millions of these coins have passed through people's hands, and most of them never took a second look. They saw a tree, and they moved on. Need this time this coin value, what looks like an ordinary quarter, could actually be worth far more. And it might already be sitting in your change right now. Now coin number 7 is a quarter that confuses almost everyone the moment they actually look at it. The 2000 Virginia State Quarter. At first, it seems normal. 3 ships on the back, a clean design, nothing unusual. But the moment you read the dates, something doesn't make sense. because this coin was minted in the year 2000, but on the back, it clearly says 1607 to 2007. A future date 0.7 years ahead of when the coin was actually made, and most people never notice it. They use it, spend it, pass it along, without ever realizing they're holding one of the only U.S. quarters that was released with a date that hadn't even happened yet. Now officially, this was meant to honor the upcoming 400th anniversary of Jamestown. But here's the reality for collectors. Coins with unusual or unique features like this always attract attention. And when you combine that with condition and mint errors, that's where the value begins. A standard circulated example is still just face value, but a high-grade coin, with sharp detail on the ships, clean surfaces, and nowhere, can sell $4, $100, $150, even $250 or more. Now here's where it gets more serious. Some of these Virginia quarters were struck with mint errors, double die errors, where the date or lettering appears slightly duplicated, off-center strikes, weak or missing details, and those coins can reach into the hundreds depending on condition. So here's exactly what you need to check. Start with the front. Look closely at the date. 2000. If you see any doubling or shadowing, that's your first sign. Then check Liberty and In God We Trust. If the letters don't look clean, if they appear layered or slightly off, you could be holding an error coin. Then flip it over. Look at the ships. Strong detail means higher grade. Soft or unusual detail could indicate a strike issue. And finally, read those dates again, because once you notice it, you can't unsee it. A coin from the year 2000, carrying the year 2007. And sitting in circulation like it's completely normal. Need this time this coin value, what most people ignore as just another quarter, could actually be worth hundreds, and it might already be in your hands. Coin number 6 is a quarter that literally carries the story of a battle that changed history. The 2000 South Carolina State Quarter. At first glance, it's just a palmetto tree on the back. A nice design, nothing flashy. But the story behind this tree is extraordinary. In 1776, during the Revolutionary War, the British sent one of the most powerful naval forces ever against the American colonies. 9 warships, over 270 cannons, troops ready to crush the rebellion in the South, and standing between them and victory was a small fort made from the soft logs of the palmetto tree. The British engineers laughed at it. They said it would be reduced to splinters in an hour. They fired for nearly 12 hours. Round after round slammed into those logs, and every single shot was absorbed. The fort didn't break. The British failed. Their flagship was damaged, their troops stranded, and they had no choice but to retreat. 10 days later, the colonies declared independence. And now, that same palmetto tree is on a coin in your pocket. The mint struck the 2000 South Carolina quarter at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. It's one of the first-year coins of the 50-state quarters program, meaning it's been circulating longer than almost any other state quarter. That makes condition absolutely crucial. A typical circulated South Carolina quarter is still 25 cents. But a coin graded mint state 65 or higher? $40 to $100. Mint state 67? Over $200. And deep mirror, proof-like examples have sold for far more. Collectors focus on the palmetto tree itself. The fronds, the trunk, the Carolina wren perched in the branches, the yellow Jimmy's flower below. Sharp and crisp detail, high value. Blurred and flat, face value only. Errors exist too. Double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, cataloged but never publicly announced. The mint released these coins with known errors, hoping most people would never notice. So check every South Carolina quarter you can find. Look at the tree under magnification. Look for doubled letters or die cracks. One coin in circulation today could easily be worth 100 times face value. The question is, will you spot it before it slips back into circulation? Coin number 5 is a quarter that carries a secret date, a date that shouldn't exist. The 2000 Virginia State Quarter. At first, it looks ordinary. 3 ships on the reverse, the Susan Constant, the Godspeed, and the Discovery, commemorating the first permanent English settlement at Jamestown. But look closer. Stamped into the coin is the year 2007, 7 years in the future. The coin itself is dated 2000. Millions of these coins were pressed and released into circulation with a date that technically hadn't happened yet. Why? The official explanation is that the design had to be finalized years in advance. But it's still remarkable. A future date on legal U.S. currency, floating in your pocket, forgotten in jars, drawers, and cash registers. Collectors know this coin is special. First-year strikes from Philadelphia are the most sought after. Circulated coins might look like ordinary change, but a mint state 65 can sell for $150. A mint state 67? Over $250 at auction. Check the ships closely. The detail on the rigging, hull lines, and water is key. Strong, crisp detail separates face value from coins worth hundreds of dollars. There are also error varieties. Double dies on the obverse or reverse, off-center strikes, week date numerals. These are circulating right now, and most people never look twice. So when you check your Virginia quarters, examine both sides. Look at the ships, the lettering, the date. One coin in circulation today could be hiding a story from the future, and a value collectors would pay a fortune to own. Coin number 4 carries a piece of American resilience stamped into its metal. The 2000 South Carolina State Quarter. On the reverse is a palmetto tree. But this isn't just decoration. That tree once stopped a British invasion during the Revolutionary War. On June 28, 1776, 9 British warships and over 270 cannons attacked Sullivan's Island, aiming to crush the rebellion in the South. The fort built from palmetto logs absorbed cannon fire like a sponge. Round after round, the British cannons failed. Ships were damaged, troops stranded, and Admiral Parker himself was wounded. 10 days later, America declared independence. Now, this historic fort and its palmetto logs live on your quarter, circulating quietly in your pocket change for over 26 years. Most people don't see the story. They see a tree and move on. But collectors know the truth. The 2000 South Carolina quarter was struck at Philadelphia and Denver. Circulated coins are face value, but high-grade mint state 65 examples sell for $40 to $100. Mint state 67? Over $200. Proof-like deep mirror coins command even higher premiums. Key details? The fronds, the texture of the trunk, the Carolina wren perched in the branches, and the yellow jum flower below. On strong strikes, these are crisp and sharp. On weak strikes, they blur. That's the difference between ordinary change and a coin worth 100 times face value. Error varieties exist: double dies, off-center strikes, and die cracks on certain Philadelphia strikes. None of this was publicly announced. Check your South Carolina quarters. Look at the tree under magnification, examine the lettering, and search for die cracks. A coin that stopped a British invasion might just be sitting in your jar right now, worth far more than you ever imagined. Coin number 3 is the 2000 Virginia State Quarter. At first glance, it looks like any other quarter. 3 ships, the Susan Constant, the Godspeed, and the Discovery, on the back, commemorating the first permanent English settlers arriving at Jamestown. But look closer. This coin was minted in 2000, yet it bears the date 1607 to 2007, 7 years before the 400th anniversary. The U.S. Mint put a future date on legal currency and sent it into circulation without explanation. Collectors pay close attention. First-year strikes from Philadelphia are among the most sought-after coins in the 50-state quarters program. Circulated Virginia quarters are still face value, but a high-grade mint state 65 coin sells for $150, mint state 67 for $250. The difference is in the detail: rigging on the ships, hull lines, the waves. Strong strikes make the ships almost three-dimensional, weak strikes flatten them. Errors exist: double dies, off-center strikes, weak date numerals. These are not wear, they're mint errors, and they can multiply a coin's value many times over. Check your Virginia quarters. Examine the ships, inspect the lettering, look for doubling. That coin in your pocket may be a hidden piece of history and a hidden fortune. Coin number 4 is the 2000 South Carolina State Quarter. This quarter isn't just pocket change, it carries a story of battle and defiance. The back features a fort made from palmetto logs, the same fort that stopped a full-scale British naval attack in 1776. 9 warships, over 270 cannons, and thousands of troops tried to seize Sullivan's Island, but the soft palmetto logs absorbed the fire. The British fleet suffered catastrophic damage, and the colonies gained the confidence to declare independence just 10 days later. This coin was struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints during the first year of the 50-state quarters program, making it one of the longest circulated quarters in the series. Average circulated examples are still 25 cents, but a high-grade mint state 65 can sell for $40 to $100, and mint state 67 coins have crossed $200. Proof like deep mirror coins command serious premiums. Look closely at the palmetto tree, the texture of the trunk, the fronds, the Carolina wren perched in the branches, the yellow Jimmy flower below it. Strong strikes make each detail crisp and sharp. Weak strikes blur them into one flat shape. Error varieties exist: double dies, off-center strikes, and die cracks, never publicly announced by the mint. Check every South Carolina quarter you can find. Look for these details, magnify the tree, inspect the lettering, and consider what history and value may be hiding in your pocket.